So, I guess before we dive back into it, do we want to, as a group, just sort of like decide which location we want to go to first?
Yeah, go ahead and talk it through. Yeah, what y'all want to do?
I personally think Rorik's would probably be. I mean, we're already in Crow's Foot, so
it's all in Crow's Foot. All of this takes place in Crow's Foot.
Oh, okay.
Within blocks of each other.
Yeah.
Like you're in Tangletown. Crow's Watch is the center of town. It's like a tower that they own. And then there's a coal warehouse that is the Lampblack's HQ. And there is a former dojo that is the HQ of the Red Sashes. But they're all in Crow's Foot.
I'll say...
I guess it depends on what we want to focus on first, then.
Yeah, can we do like a bullet point just so we're all on the same page? Because I feel like I'm getting confused between the factions. Just a slight about like what each faction knows about what.
And I can even make it simpler, at least in terms of like kind of what you can expect from this, because it's their first session. We're still learning, and I'm fine with it. So if you decide to infiltrate the Red Sashes, you are essentially doing what LaRose is asking you to do, taking this dagger and trying to sneak in without being seen and leave it somewhere and escape without being seen, right? Cause any kind of ruckus, people are going to know there was some stuff going on. That's a problem. So this one's a very stealth-oriented, very straightforward kind of burglary type of deal. The one from Rigney is more about getting information. So this is if you were to go and infiltrate the Lamps, you need to find information on what their plans are. So it's not necessarily that you're going to try and go into a specific place and get a specific thing. You need to find information somehow. It's a little more espionage-y. Then lastly, the investigation into the death of Rorik. You could probably expect more stuff having to do with the ghosts and in doing investigations, because you're dealing with someone who has dead, and you're dealing with this kind of larger intrigue type stuff in the world. So that one you're going to be interacting more with specific people and then having to do a whole bunch of little things as the trail kind of comes out, you know?
And so, I mean, it sounds like if we were to do LaRose's job, we might be going against what Rigney has asked. Even though she just wants us to gather information, she sort of wants to avoid bloodshed, but we would be adding to that, right, by framing the Sashes.
See, they...
In the same
we
way,
do not
LaRose
know
also
specifically
says,
that it's a frame job. We assume it's a frame job.
Okay, but I think we could probably, if we're good at our jobs, we could probably put two and two together and sort of figure it out.
I feel like if we start with LaRose's job and figure out who the actual... who actually posted this job, who actually like asked LaRose to plant the job, we would do more of Amencia's job in finding out who actually killed.
I agree. Like we can gather the knife without actually planting it, and then so doing gather information on.
And then
Rorik.
if we wanted to, because you know, obviously there's these two factions, and we have this police force, we could plant the knife wherever we want to on who we think. Needs to have like
we can cause our own drama.
Yes.
So
essentially,
that would potentially necessitate the need to go to multiple locations, though.
Yeah.
We go,
I guess,
pick up the knife first, and then go somewhere else.
Which you can totally do as part of a flashback or in preparation, if that's something you wanted to. Don't leave that off the table.
I think if we were to do the LaRose thing and go acquire the knife, we could get information, hopefully, that would clue us into who killed Rorik. And if we were
who gave him the knife? Because that could also,
If we were to gather information on the people who give us the knife, we can look for clues at Rorik's that might suggest that we would know what to look for. Like if these people had a certain boot on and we saw those boot prints at Rorik's, we could sort of, you know.
And just for my own clarity, Amencio specifically just wants to know who killed Rorik, whereas Rigney, she wants to know, or she just more wants information on the Lamps versus the Sashes and what's going on there.
She wants to know what the Lamps are planning against the Sashes.
Right. That's right. Okay. Then I think it obviously makes the least sense to actually do the full LaRose job. So instead, do part of it first, gather the knife, and then either either go.
Then we go to the bedroom.
Go to the bedroom.
Yeah, that's
where,
what I'm thinking.
where Rorik
we might
was
as well
killed.
bring the murder weapon to the actual point of the crime, because if you have one weapon, like, ghost energy can go into items, it can go into people, it can go into rooms itself. So we take the ghost knife, the murder weapon, and we bring it to the place of the murder, and we might have double ghosts.
So I guess that's the order of events there, and then I guess Price, in your GM fashion, would you rather that we just are directly at Rorik's and then like you flashback tell us a little bit of what happened with us picking up the knife?
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to essentially just roll one roll for picking up the knife that has to do with that and its potential consequences, and that's going to determine what it's going to do. Because if this is what you want to do, I'm going to get the knife, and instead of going straight to do the job for LaRose, you want to take it with you and go to the Crow's Nest and potentially try and investigate Rorik's room. So yeah, I would call that taking the knife without drawing the ire of LaRose or his crew, whoever he's working with, is kind of what you're trying to do, right?
Right.
On the other hand, they've given you the job, you've maybe got a little leeway, but you also know that people might be watching you, right?
Sure.
So, I think what we'll call that, let's look at some...
But we're the shadows, Price!
It's true. It's true. So, does anyone want to speak to how you would go about acquiring the dagger? And this is where, so for people out there watching, for people who want to play the game, etc., this is supposed to be like a collaborative storytelling kind of thing. So as the DM, they say kind of don't make all the decisions ahead of time, but let people kind of decide how it wants to go. So this is an area where I would say, like, if you can come up with how you think you're going to get the dagger and where you're going to get it from, you can determine that. Does that make sense? So
Did
you say,
LaRose
I
not
want to
give
break
us a
in.
location?
He would, and then this is where you as the player can determine where that location was. Does that make sense? You're telling the story of how you got it. It's like, oh yeah, I broke into that one place and I picked it up there, or oh, I met the contact at this place. I can come up with that for you, but if you guys have an idea, you can say how you would do that. Does that make sense? And then I tell you the roll to roll.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we're going to be, assuming we're trying to plant the knife in with the red sashes, maybe the knife would be at the opposite, like where you least expect it. So it's not going to be in the red sashes. It's probably going to be in a seedy place, maybe down by the docks or something like that.
I feel like if
somewhere
they
where
had
they
the
would
knife,
never find it.
It's probably going to be the handoff is probably in Tangletown because it's a neutral area. People are not looking for a fight, so they're probably going to do it someplace where it's safest to pass a murder weapon.
Yeah, and LaRose had definitely said, we acquired it. We picked it up off of somebody. So you know that LaRose and his blue coats, or whoever he's working with, are in control of the dagger wherever it is. Yeah.
So then we talk to, let's say we talk to one of LaRose's other blue coats or someone like that hands us the knife, and maybe in as subtle a way possible, we press them a little bit for their own name, and we press them a little bit for maybe LaRose told us that you got this knife from a kid that stole it. What was that about? Tell us about that.
Okay. So I would say that that's going to be someone who's going to ask that kind of question and be involved in that. Should be someone fairly charming, and someone who can maybe use some sway to try and convince this person. Because you guys go into this, you knew this was your goal. You want to try and get some information, you want to do that. So you probably send in the best person to do that.
I have 1 point in sway.
I have 2 points in sway. Sway's kind of my thing.
Your slide is probably going to be the one who's going to want to do that. So let's go ahead and let's do like a little kind of background roll and everything like that. Yep, flashback. You guys, you're looking up at the crow's nest. Wow, glad we got this. And then and it cuts back. And so we have Talker here, and you find yourself in you're in Tangletown still, kind of back behind the bar towards the edge of one of the boats, where you can see off into the inky blackness that is the water, you can see, a little bit of what could be a horizon of the lightning rods over the Lost. What was it called? The Lost District. And so, it's a strangely peaceful place where you kind of where you find this person. You see a woman, mid-30s, kind of like white hair, sunken eyes, and very kind of dry. So it's just like,
Okay.
You the one?
I'm the one.
And
I was
who
sent
would that
by.
be?
I was sent by our common contact, one Officer LaRose.
She kind of eyes you up and down. Looks about right.
You have an item for me, one that was improperly acquired and needs to be returned to its rightful owner.
Indeed, I do. One moment. So she kind of like turns, starts digging through, and you notice like she had this pile of just, it looked like junk, honestly. And she's digging through it, and from it she pulls just a little box, a little ornate box, and hands it to you. And as she does that, you see her kind of like look off in the distance and kind of do one of these, and then hands it to you.
I want to sort of look towards where she just looked and see if I can see what she was looking at.
Yeah, will you roll a quick, this is just gonna be a quick roll for it's not gonna be study, survey.
Survey?
Yeah.
Okay, what do I do if I don't have any points for survey?
So you take a 0, which is you roll 2 and you take the lowest roll, or you can give yourself stress in order to give yourself a +1, or you can, there's a whole number of other things, take a devil's bargain, etc. You can always roll anything. So yeah, I would say roll 2. This is going to be a controlled and a low impact.
Oh, that one fell on the ground. 5?
Okay. Yeah. So you look up and you kind of see a glint in the distance, and you, knowing how this kind of stuff goes, somebody's watching. Somebody's keeping an eye on this transaction. You would have expected that to be the case anyways.
Yeah.
And, she kind of looks at you and she goes, eyes over here, right? You know how this works.
I do know it. But I also want to know who I'm working with. What's your name?
So here's where you want to use a sway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sway I can do. So I have a 2 on sway, which means that I would roll 2, correct?
Yeah, you can roll 2. Yeah. And if you have an ability that you could add 1. Oh, you guys, you have a +1 because of your crew, right?
Does that
Or is that in
affect
a different
sway?
No,
Oh, no, it's on
I
your
took
prowess,
I took a +1 to prowl. But
prowl.
I would
Oh, okay.
like to, just to be safe, I'll take a stress and roll 3, just to be
And so
sure here.
Okay.
I rolled a 5.
A 5. Okay. So what did you do to that like added the stress?
I
Are you kind of pushing on it or what?
I need to describe the stress, huh? I was so nervous about this being my first real job with the crew. I didn't want my first act with the crew to be a bad one. So
Yeah.
I was really just nervous about
nervous,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so she could see that. She's like, oh my gosh, she really just picks all of the green ones. You are embarrassing to be around. Yeah, okay, you can call me Kalaya. All right.
Kalaya.
Indeed.
Okay. Kalaya. And would you
Look.
be able to tell me where you acquired this knife, Kalaya?
It's not the kind of job I do.
Look at. If it turns out this is the knife that we're looking for and this is a setup, I
You
need
said
to
it's
know.
a knife. I don't know what you're talking about. I handed you a box. That's my job.
Did I say knife? I meant item.
Mm-hmm.
If this isn't the item that we're looking for, if we're being set up here, I need to know who to come find and who they're working for.
I'm working for the same person you're working for, LaRose.
Okay, Kalaya working for LaRose. But you don't know who gave you this item. Where did you acquire this item?
You're gonna need to. So she just says, yeah. That's not what I'm giving you here. All right, I did my part of the job. You should leave now.
Okay, I will leave.
Now you can always push on that. Like if I'm like, no, I'm not gonna give you that. You can always be like, no, I really want to try and get this information. It's like you're just gonna have to roll for it, and it's gonna be other stuff.
I mean, it seems so difficult to roll. I mean, rolling 2 dice and hoping to get a 6, it's a very slim chance.
Well, a 5 is a success with complications. So you did get her name, right? When you asked her your name. Yeah, you asked her name. You got the success. She just also called you dumb. Like that was the small complication.
And she meant it because I know when someone's lying.
Yeah.
Well, then you know what? I'll press on her a little bit more. I'm like, look, I'd feel a lot more comfortable leaving if I knew who gave you this item. Look, I've got people I'm accountable to as well, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't know where this knife came from.
That is something that you should take up with the person you get the job from. I'm just a broker. You know how this works. I assume you do, although now I'm starting to question whether or not you actually know anything about what you're trying to do here. This is Tangletown. My associate happens to not be in Tangletown, and he can see you right now. So how about you just not make this very difficult? Because obviously we can't fight here. This is neutral ground.
Do you not know who gave you this item? Is that the problem? Are you embarrassed by the fact that you don't know who you're working with? Because if you know, you could just let me know. You could just tell me the name, and then I will leave.
I don't really like the tone you're taking with me, and pretty soon I'm going to have to do something about that. So how about you go? I have more work to do. If you want to keep pressing on this, then I think we're going to have to do something a little bit more severe here. And when she says that, you see she holds up 2 fingers. And as she does that, you hear just like a little and kind of like a little ping in the water. Water kind of shoots up.
I'm just going to chalk that up to coincidence. So I'll just leave and assume you don't know who you're working with.
Do you want to roll more sway on that?
Well, I don't know. Can I? Can I roll a sway?
If you ever want to roll something to try and do something, just say it, and we'll go for it.
I didn't know if I could with her being so combative.
Yeah, no, you always can. You always can. Earlier, you wanted to know her name. You got her name.
Well, then I will roll a sway to see if I can get more information. And I got 4.
4. Okay. So this is a risky and a standard. You got a 4, so you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer either harm, a complication occurs, or you have a reduced effect. You end up in a desperate position. So with a 4 or 5, she kind of says, "Look, all right. I get that you're new, you're green, whatever. I'm not going to start anything here. Look, I'm working for LaRose. You know LaRose. He's a blue coat. The blue coats work with the lamps, they work with the gondoliers, and they work with the crows whenever they can, okay? Figure it out on your own. Really?
I think I know where you're going with this. Okay. See, that wasn't so hard.
Yeah. As you walk away, I assume, you notice that your pocket's a little lighter.
Well, good thing that I only had receipts in that pocket.
Those are invitations!
Oh no! Gotta get all these people showing up to be a part of the gang.
So that was the consequence. That was the harm. Was that I got pickpocketed?
Yep. You lost some money.
You know what? Worth it. I'm gonna earn a coin after this. It's all good.
So when you take on stress, we mark it on the page.
Yes, you mark it on the page, and then the stress. The way the stress works is once stress reaches a certain level, you acquire trauma, and then it resets. And if you ever acquire 4 total trauma, then you have to leave the game. Either you retire, you go to prison to lower the heat rating of the squad, the crew, or you die and become a ghost, or just die.
And then you can become a playable ghost.
You can become a playable ghost. It is a feature in this game that I think is incredible.
Yes.
If your player ever dies, you can just become a ghost.
It's great.
But it seems
And then you can possess someone's body and then become a vampire. Or you could possess a metal construct and become a hull. It's
I'll
crazy.
say, it seems like dying in this particular in this world is not uncommon. Like the game sort of sets it up as like, yeah, just die, and then you can just
Yeah.
roll a new one.
Roll a new member, yeah. So, doodle-a-doo, doodle-a-doo, doodle-a-doo. You're back. You are, we'll say you're across the street, like a couple of houses over, a couple of buildings over from the Crow's Nest, looking at it, just to get kind of a survey of the scene. And Tucker, you kind of hold out that box and like, all right, we got this, right? We just did the flashback for that.
Got the thing. I
Maybe you
opened the
should
box.
not have it out in the open?
I'm imagining that we're
Yeah,
somewhere that we're not in the open.
We're in the dusk. We're in the
Please
dusk,
don't assume
Anna.
that I'm always doing the dumbest thing.
You're in the you're on like a rooftop, I'd assume, to where you can see stuff, but you're hidden away enough to where you're not being watched, right? You would assume so and can do so well. So you can see the Crow's Nest in front of you just to give you an idea of this. It's an old watchtower, so several stories tall. You're not going to necessarily want to just climb the side of a watchtower in the middle of town, but you would know that somewhere towards the top is where Rorik's room would be. That'd be kind of like a common assumption. Would any of you have maybe tried to get some information about the Crow's Nest or something like that before going in? Would you have flashbacked anything?
Yeah, I would like to
Or
say
about the
that
people there, or about what's been going on? Yeah.
I would have surveyed just to see like if I can see what the like topmost what would you call it? The topmost bedroom or most top spire room would have been, and if I can see lights on, if I can see any, I guess, sentinels of shadows walking to and from within that room, and just sort of like what patrol seems to be in the Crow's Nest.
Okay, so now did you do like you did recon? Like did you like scope out the place, or what did you?
I did. So I have my my sort of long rifle. Actually, I have a long rifle and a spyglass. So with a spyglass, I sort of like climbed up onto the rooftop of the adjacent building and just sort of scoped it for a while, just trying to get an idea of how often people are moving around within what we assume is the top room where Rorik was bedroom is.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll say that Wester did some recon. Do you want to roll something for that? I think probably
I have a survey.
Survey would probably be good. A location or situation to understand what's going on, sense trouble before it happens, gather information about opportunities or exploits. Sounds good to me.
All right. Okay.
You already described kind of what you were going to try and do. You're trying to just get information on the patrols and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So
So
we'll
if I
call
have
that a
a-
controlled.
If I have
Yeah.
a 1 into survey, do I still roll 2, but I just take the highest? Is that right?
I think you just roll 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Because if you have nothing, you still roll 2, but you take the lowest. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just roll 1, but you just have like a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Basically.
But you, and yeah, exactly. You have a 50-50 chance. You can get a bonus from somebody if you had someone help you.
But that adds stress to them if they help me, right?
They do take stress.
Yeah.
So you can get a 1d from someone else and they take 1 stress. You can do a devil's bargain, obviously.
Yeah.
Or any other bonuses. Or yeah, just roll the 1 and you get a 50-50. There's going to be a low risk,
Yeah.
low consequence outcome.
Yeah.
So it's not really a dangerous.
I'm gonna roll 1.
Okay.
Got a 3.
A 3. Okay. So yeah, you tried to kind of set yourself up so you could observe what's going on. Seems like things are pretty well locked down. You can't really get a good feed on stuff. You were able to see some of the patrols here and there, but after a couple of hours of you watching, someone actually saw you. They spotted you.
Okay.
And, you know, it was far enough away that, like, you know, you could see them in the distance and they kind of like were looking in your direction. You assume they probably saw the glint, but you could probably get away without them knowing who you are. But you weren't able to finish doing all the surveying that you wanted to do.
Got it. I think I was spotted, and so I scooted before I could see what I really wanted to see. Okay.
Yeah. But you do know that, it seems like maybe security is a little high at the moment.
All right.
Unsurprisingly.
So I return to the group and I relay that.
Yeah. And we'll say that happened over the last, couple of days, right? Like, so you a couple days ago did that, and you're like, this is all I could get. They're pretty strict.
Okay.
I want to try to get in with the guards and see if I can get access into the crow's nest.
So is this something that you would have done in the time leading up to the...
Yeah,
doing
in the
this?
time leading up to it. I would like to talk to the guards, maybe see if there's a way that we can sneak at least one person in.
Okay.
Get the keys maybe to the back door. Maybe they look away at a certain time.
Okay, so that sounds
so that
to
we
me...
can get in.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like maybe you want to cause some kind of a distraction, or
like
you want to do some kind of
pickpocket. Like you want to pickpocket a guard for the keys.
No, I don't want to pickpocket. I want to basically use my insider trading to be like, hey, I've done you a favor in the past. Mm-hmm. Would you do me one?
And okay, so real quick, before we go into this, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to do one of the mechanics in the game because I think this will help us not only move forward, but it'll help us to use this mechanic because I think it's neat. So I'm going to create some timers for everybody, essentially, which is we're going to say you guys had 4 actions worth of time between when you took the jobs and when where you are now, and the outcomes of those determine how far up your timer meant. But essentially, how much time did it take you? How much time did it waste? Mm-hmm. So, Talker, we're going to say that you're talking and getting the dagger. We'll say that took 1, because it went fairly smoothly. You didn't really have anything get in the way. That took 1 of your 4 chunks of time. Okay. We're going to say, Wester, you lost 2 chunks of time because you had to reassess, rearrange, get out of your place. It messed with your day. So that's what that did. Liddy and Riven, you have 4 events worth of time right now before we're okay, we ran out of time. That's everything we could do up until the event happened. If you do something together, it's going to take off both of your meters. Mm-hmm. So consider that as you're doing stuff. Anyway.
So I want to go to say, so obviously this is the very big compound, the crow's nest, and I don't want to go to the front door. I want to go to one of the side doors and talk to somebody that I know, so a guard that actually works outside.
That you already knew ahead of time. Okay.
And I kind of want to sort of talk to them and see if they might help us in. Okay. Tell them, the crows. Well, so obviously there's some infighting.
Who's this person that you know? Let's talk about this person.
As far as the name goes, we'll just call him Bricks.
Bricks. All right, I like Bricks. Cool.
Me and Bricks, Bricks has come to me multiple times looking for, he solicits some things, items from me. Mm-hmm. But occasionally he also picks up cases for the crows.
Picks up stuff from you. You supply them. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so what I want to do is I want to come up to him and I want to be like, Bricks, how's it going? So I've been, it's been a lot of unrest, feeling a lot of uneasy feelings from here.
Oh, tell me about it. It's been crazy over here. My goodness. Ever since...
Is that the voice you got a cold? I could give you something for that.
What are you talking about? I'm Big Bad Bricks. Everyone knows how I sound. Are you making fun of my voice?
No, I was just over at, the Tangle, and you hear some things about what's going on inside. And I'm reluctantly part of this crew that's trying to get some information, and you have always come to me. I never ask questions. I'm coming to you hoping that you would do the same for me.
What are you saying? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if I could do anything like that.
Well, here's the thing. We have something. We have a special person that wants to get into Rorik's room.
A special person? What do you mean? That's pretty locked down right now.
They're a medium. They think they know who may have killed Rorik, but the problem is
Rorik?
that
No, Rorik died in his sleep. It was totally okay. What are you talking about?
Did he though?
Oh my god.
Well, like, okay, this medium.
You know, you're seeing like on his face, like it's circles getting the square. Like, oh my god, he could have been murdered. He's losing it a little bit.
Bricks, I know you're a little thick sometimes, but the entire city's talking about it. But we got this medium, see? And I feel like if we get up there with this medium, they scope the place out, they do their little mumbo jumbo, they say the words, maybe they might see an echo. You get me?
Oh, I don't like ghosts, man. That's not cool, dude.
Think about if you go to Lissa with this information and you find out who killed her father. Maybe that might be a couple coin in your pocket.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, what do you need from me though? Like, what's?
We need a way in.
Like what do you mean? Like it's a door?
You, Bricks, you know that there's more than just this one door. There's multiple doors. We need a safe way in.
All right, so I think you should figure out some way that you want to try and convince Bricks, roll-wise, to make this happen.
I feel like because I'm using my connection with him, I'm gonna use Consort, which I have a 2 in.
Consort, okay, because you have a pass together. Okay, let me look at that. So you have a 2. Okay, go ahead and roll for it. Read it up.
And I want to make sure this works, so I'm gonna take a stress. I'm gonna do a bonus.
Okay, so and what do you do to really like to stress this? You know?
Well, obviously, if things go bad, this is going to be really bad for me. This is not only on me, but for the crew and for Bricks. So not only is my life on the line and my crew's life, but it's also Bricks' life. So if we screw this up, we all might find ourselves dead in a ditch.
So, okay.
So this is what would you?
I'm trying to think like. Well, I think that either you can take the stress and we can figure it out afterwards. Yeah, we can do that. We'll figure it out afterwards, depending on how this goes. And so, we'll call that same normal risky standard. I
got a 6.
1 6?
6, a 4, and a 2. A 6, a 4, and a 2.
Okay, you do the thing. So take your 2 stress. We'll say that.
Wait, 2 stress because I already have a 2 in Consort.
Well, but you still wrote 3, right? So when you add a +1 roll, you take 2 stress.
Okay, so if I have a 2,
whenever you add stress, you add 2 stress.
When you take stress to add to a roll, you just take the stress. If it's a resistance roll, you roll against it. You're not resisting stress. This is just you took this extra stress on. So we're gonna say you kind of put yourself a little bit in a vulnerable position with Bricks right there. You know, let's say maybe you said something like, "Look, man, I know you could just turn me in right now, right? But that's not what's gonna help you out."
Exactly.
Something along those lines. Like you make it bigger than what you're talking about. And so Bricks is like, well, I mean, you know, I guess I could maybe lose my key or something, you know. You know.
I know. How about maybe you misplaced your keys. Maybe you also tell us, maybe you also give me directions to the nearest store, if you know what I mean.
Store?
What do you mean?
The safest path. Trying to be subtle.
Okay, so you want him to give you like a floor plan or like a way of getting in. So this is great because this is another mechanic that you can do here. You can sort of double down on your rolls, and especially if you get a 6, like a critical one like that. Actually, no, you didn't get a critical. Never mind.
No, it was just one.
If you get a critical, if you get 2 6s, you can actually say, "Oh, I want to make this a riskier thing. We're gonna put it up to the next level," and then you get a bigger amount of stuff. So yeah, we'll say that because of the success that you had, Bricks kind of lays out for you. He's like, okay, so here I'm gonna leave my things over here. I'm going on break, Wilbur. Yeah, you better be doing your job. Yeah, he's funny. Okay. Anyway, oh geez, I'm gonna take a long nap, and he leaves like his little pouch kind of to the side there, and he definitely like winks at you a bunch, like it's obvious. And then he kind of like walks away. So what he left you is his key And then there, like, he scribbled just like a kind of crappy little map that, like, you think he wrote kitchen, but you can't quite tell. It looks like he it says chicken, but you think he means kitchen. And then a couple of other things in there where it's like you could probably figure it out.
Like almost like a Cockney slang, like it rhyming, that rhyming scheme thing.
Exactly.
Oh God.
Exactly. But also because he can't spell as well.
So as Brix leaves, I take off my giant, like my wooden store, like the casket that I would carry.
Yeah.
Put it down. I stretched my back out. I'm like, oh man, these old bones can't do it anymore. And as I like stretched, I'm making like a big deal of it. And then as I go down to pick up my case again, I grab the little pouch, put it in my coat.
Cool. All right. You got some keys to maybe get into a side door. You got maybe like a little plan on where to go. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we'll say that moves you up. That also moves you up too, because that's pretty significant. And
okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Riven, anything that you would like to do in this preparation?
Talk to ghosts. That's the only thing I'm really good at.
Okay. So, like, what ghosts do you want to talk to? What are you trying to do? Yeah.
So, I'm thinking, like, Riven is thinking that if, like, we don't even have to go in the bedroom, like, ghosts travel about the area, so maybe I can see if there's some friendly spirits that might know a little bit more information about Rorik or something like that, and just start to do the investigation around the area, because we are going to pick up some information in the bedroom, but might as well scope the outside too and see what we can get to hopefully aid what's going to happen next.
Okay, so you're doing some whisper stuff. Are you trying to primarily get information about the murder, information about getting inside, information, like what specific type of information you're trying to go for?
Yeah, so information about the murder. So obviously the body was found in the bedroom, but maybe there was a scuffle that happened outside that might give us some more clues. And maybe there's a lot of energy outside of the building before it happened. Like maybe there was a fight or something, and maybe I can attune myself to that sort of negative energy, that the events leading up to the murder, essentially.
Okay. So, where are you going to do this?
As near to the tower that I can get.
Okay. So
I guess since there's
in the same kind of the place where you guys are overseeing this, we'll say, it's kind of an abandoned rooftop that you guys have been able to kind of get away with using with nobody kind of coming at you.
Yeah.
It's not the best place for it. You don't necessarily think they're going to be ghosts right here.
Right.
But it might be a place where you can kind of get some information, depending on what you come across. I would say the other thing you could try and do. Well, no, go ahead and roll your attune, because you're just trying to find some ghost or something to give you information, right?
Yeah, just see if there's anything that can point us in a direction, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll your attune.
Okay. I got a 5 and a 4.
Okay. So, this is anytime you're doing stuff with ghosts, there's some risk involved. And so as soon as you attune and you do this, the first thing that you see, and it scares you, is a spirit that just kind of like rushes at you and is like screeching in your direction.
That's a little much.
And so I would say, because you're someone who has experience with ghosts, you wouldn't necessarily immediately be paralyzed or anything like that, but you're going to potentially take some stress. So let's roll a resistance roll for you.
Okay.
And
how do is that based on skills, the resistance roll, or?
Yeah, you're going to roll an attune again, I believe. Let me look, because it might just be based on the overall skill. There's too many things, and I've already got... I had it all laid out perfectly. I had every scene, every page I needed, and then I scrolled through, and that ruined everything. So, let me find the resistance section. Resistance. Okay. So, you use one of the 3 major rolls. You think you just roll a. Let's see. You roll against the consequence once. How many rolls do you get? 1d for each attribute rating. So we'll say, I mean, you're using your. You're once again using your attune.
Yeah.
We'll say it says to use your resolve, your prowess, or your insight. Do you have scores for those? Those are like the overarching ones, right?
Those are the overarching ones, but I definitely have the most points in resolve.
Which is also where you get your
Attune.
Yeah, I guess my question is like, do you add up everything that's under resolve, and then that's like your resolve score? So like you add up attune, command, consort, and sway, and like that's your.
I think you take the highest one.
Okay.
Because I don't think you could roll because you could roll like 6 or 8 or something like that. So I think we're gonna have you roll 2, just like you did for your attune, and take the highest one.
Okay. 4 is my highest.
Okay, so when you're gonna take stress like that, you're gonna take a full 6, and then you reduce it by what you rolled. So reduce that by 4, you're gonna take 2 stress.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
yeah, this ghost kind of rushed at you, and you flinched, but then you quickly did something that you know to do to kind of like break it around you. Like you're like, it's cool, it's not gonna get me, because you recognized it was just an echo, wasn't a spirit coming after me or anything like that. So you succeeded. So what do you see? Well, you do see a lot of, the energies kind of moving around as you would when you're trying to attune like this. That's actually kind of the hard part here, is the amount of kind of noise in this region. You really try and focus in and see if there's any voices you could hear or any spirits you can kind of coerce to come out or anything like that. And what you do see is you see a lot of energy emanating from one of the rooms up top that feels very echoey.
Okay.
It definitely feels like there was an event that occurred there.
Would I know if that's the bedroom or adjacent to the bedroom or?
Yeah, and exploring the way that it makes you feel, yes, you feel what you would assume would be that energy of Rorik and kind of some kind of an altercation.
Okay.
Right? Additionally, you do see that there are maybe some other spirit energies and things around that you could maybe contact, but you're going to need to get closer to them. And so there are some throughout the Crow's Nest, and there's maybe some spots around that you could go to if you wanted to explore that further.
Okay.
But yeah. Anything else? Is there any questions that you specifically want to try and put out there into the ether or anything like that?
Yeah, hold on. I have a list of questions. Much like you, I have a million tabs open.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I guess
okay.
if I can see if there's anything like hidden, like in terms of the ghost realm, like the ghost realm is it's like almost a mirror of the real world, it seems. So there are certain doors and elements of like the old city. Is there something hidden that maybe to add on to what Liddy was doing, like any hidden doors or any sort of old staircases around the tower or anything like that?
Yes. So something that you can see is that there does appear to be some kind of like chimney flue or something like that goes all the way to the top. It seems to be a remnant of, like an old duct system. And the reason that you can see this is you actually can see that below in like kind of the sewers, or what would have been the sewers, there's definitely a lot of energy and whatnot there. And it does seem to kind of like move up and down through this flue. So that there's something in that way. Because if you think about the way that Enna's character is now seeing it, think of it like a transparency overlay on the world. Sorry, got unfocused there. And so you can see these things moving around, but like over the surface of the building. So you think it's in the middle, but it's hard to place because there's also a building there. So it's like, where's that thing? But you definitely can see there's something there, or maybe there was.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Riven doesn't want to get too close. One, to keep ourselves hidden from everything.
Okay.
And I think that they've gotten enough information to know. And to bring back some information to the group.
Okay. All right. So you got that stuff. All right. Is there anything else that anyone else wants to do in preparation for this, or do you want to cut forward to the infiltration? We can take as much time as you want.
So I'm assuming that both Liddy and Riven have relayed what they have discovered to us as well. And so I guess just in preparation, I just want to have tools and stuff. So like I just want to make sure that I've got like grapple hooks and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
As
I'm
a
just
matter
going to
of
go
fact-
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might be saying the same thing. We're doing the job, so should we have our loadout now?
Yeah, we can do that for sure. So we're going to say you guys use the rest of your time for loadout stuff. Does anybody else have anything that they're going to try and do for prep type things? Because loadout will take some of your time. So, you could, if you risk it too much, your timer might go up, and then you don't have time for your loadout. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if
I feel
there's
like-
anything else we need besides stuff for the actual heist, which is loadout stuff.
I feel like Liddy did enough in getting a map and a key.
Okay.
I'm trusting a Brix to be like, the stuff that they gave me was enough to help me get in.
Yep.
At least the crew to get in.
Sure.
I think I'm going to be spending my time doing the loadout.
Yeah, I think I'll just be doing loadout as well.
Yeah. I
All
agree.
right. So everybody's doing their loadouts. Cool. So we're gonna clear those timers there. We're gonna move forward. Yes.
Should we describe loadout for people watching? Because it is something that's kind of unique to Blades in the Dark.
I'll put it up on
Sure.
the screen here for people to see.
Okay.
So let me bring up my own
forward.
Hound character here. Boom. So, and I'll zoom in.
And I think the
here.
description for it is on page 57 of the book, Ash, if you want to actually show the consequences of a light, normal, and heavy load.
Actually, there is a in the character creating section of this document. Let's see here. Let me character creation. So loadout. You have access to all the items on your character sheet. For each operation, decide what your character load will be. During the operation, you may say that your character has an item on hand by checking the box next to that item that you want to use, up to a number of items equal to your chosen load. So you can see there the different loads there: light, normal, heavy, and encumbered, and 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through 9. So if we go back to my character sheet here, Hound, you can see these are the items over here. And all of us, we have some items that are specific to our class. So I have a fine long rifle, for example, a pair of pistols, a trained hunting pet, that type of thing. Each of these guys, they have their own character specific items. And then on the right-hand side there, we all have sort of, I guess, universal gear that we could equip ourselves with.
The more you take, the higher you load. So you can see there it says 3 light, 5 normal, 6 heavy. So anything over 6 is going to be heavy. Yeah, go ahead.
There's also an encumbered, 7 to 9. You're encumbered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can't do anything except move very slowly.
But luckily, the way that this is organized, I really like, because you could just tick the boxes and know which ones you have, and very clearly know what you're going to have with you when you go.
So, I'd say I'm not expecting to do anything at range. I would normally be traveling with my long rifle, but I'm just not expecting to do that in this particular scenario, so I'm not going to take that with me. Nor am I going to take my hunting pet with me. So, I'm thinking climbing gear seems like a necessity. Price, would you say that we each need climbing gear, or will one set be enough?
I will say that one set will be enough as long as you guys are together.
Okay.
Okay.
If you get split up, obviously that changes things, but
Yeah.
If one of you threw a grappling hook, all of you can go up the grappling hook. If one of you is climbing up the wall, you can throw it down and people can climb up the wall, that kind of thing. Okay, so you're going for light.
Yes, I've got 3 items on me.
Okay.
I've got a fine disguise kit. I have trance powder and tinkering tools.
Trance powder, tinkering tools. Perfect. Okay. Anybody else have theirs figured out?
Almost. And there are the interesting thing too, I'm not sure if other classes have it, but some items have a 0 load, so you can just carry those.
True. Anything in
Yeah.
italics you can just take with you. So I could take my pet, but I don't know.
What? You have a pet?
I do.
It's Hunter.
I also have a Spirit Bane charm. I actually have no idea what that does.
Anything in italics is okay. That's great because transpowder.
because that's your transpounder, yeah.
A Spirit Bane charm is a small arcane trinket that ghosts prefer to avoid. So it basically is like a light protection against ghosts.
Yeah.
So I could totally negate what you're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide though if that stuff is stuff that you just have or you, because I feel like fine clothes and jewelry, fine loaded dice and trick cards, transpowder and Spirit Bane charm, they're things that are really good, and so I feel like that's that you'd have to pay for that kind of stuff. A fine one. Does that make sense?
So
I don't know if you would all just have a Spirit Bane charm, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
Just by nature. Maybe you do. Let me read up this.
Because some of
Well, that's one of the items that I have.
Yeah,
that's one of the special items to slide is that I have that.
And like I have a weapon, or I have an ability, for example, that's specific to this pet. So like having to pay for
Okay.
it seems weird.
Well, we'll just say you guys can just have it, and I'll read more about it later because it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Anyway,
They prefer to avoid doesn't mean that they have to. It just prefer to.
I want to travel light, so I'm going to take the climbing gear, and I don't know what else would be useful, honestly. Maybe some tinkering tools. I'm not much of a tinkerer.
If I had a suggestion, I'd say you as essentially the muscle should probably have a weapon.
I'll bring an unusual weapon, which will be a bludgeon, a blackjack. I'll bring a blackjack with me.
Okay. So how about Riven or Liddy? What you got?
Yeah.
I'm taking 5. I'm taking a normal load.
Okay.
I am taking. I have 2 bandoliers of alchemical items. I am bringing a blade, a pistol, and I have an unusual weapon, which is a crowbar.
All right. You're kitted. Okay. And Riven, what you got?
Yeah, so I have a couple of 0 load items that I'm taking, but I'm taking arcane implements. So the arcane implements, I have a vial of quicksilver, and this is all in like a group. A pouch of black salt, a spirit anchor in the form of a small stone, a spirit bottle, a vial of electroplasm.
Plasm. Okay.
Plasm, yep, designed to break and splatter on impact. So that's in my arcane implements.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm also taking a fine spirit mask, which allows me to see the supernatural energies in greater detail, because this is sort of a way for me to attune, but without using that amount of energy that I have.
Right.
So it's a less stressful way for me to just look at my surroundings.
Okay.
I'm taking a ghost key, which can open an arcane device that can open ghost doors in case we find a ghost door. And that's a 0 load item. And then I'm also, my other 0 load item is called a Demon Bane charm. So it's an arcane trinket that demons prefer to avoid. So in case when dealing with any ghostly materials, we encounter a specific dangerous one, I hope that it will help me.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the last item for my 3 load would be a blade, just a simple blade in case we get into trouble.
Okay.
Good to have.
Worth mentioning, I since I had transpowder, which I have, it's 0. I am bringing burglary gear as well.
Burglary gear. Okay.
Burglary gear.
And just like to let people know, rules wise, most of what this stuff does is gonna give them bonuses to very specific actions, which is a lot easier than a lot of other things do. You'll just basically get like an extra dice or something like that. Okay. Shall we move to the night? Well,
Let's go.
The night.
what does a night even mean, right? It's dark all the time, except for 2 hours of the day.